We do at about the 30 mark, and it is about the 30 mark, but I didn't want to cut you off. But
let's go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, you let me know. And
absolutely, I did like what you said. I mean, you looked at a 32-page book, and guess what? There was just a paragraph or two about water storage, water preps. I mean, and that, I guess, I even remember you talking about, you said you were on the news, and there was a lady who explained what she had in preps, like had a flashlight and a first aid kit, but in a real big earthquake, it won't sustain you at all. Just having a little kit won't do anything. Not that I have some kind of super preparations myself, but getting in the mindset of having those preps. So we're going to go to break right now, just for a minute. This is the Berkey Guys Show. We'll be right back. Hey, this is the Berkey Guys Show. We're in the second half of the show. Welcome any new listeners, just people listening. Thank you so much for listening. We have our guest on the line, David from FamilySafeWater.com. The first part we were discussing purpose of prepping water preps, water storage. Not only how much water we use on a daily basis, but also to have how much to have in an emergency situation. I want to go into that a little more detail. And I just want to thank those in the chat room also that piped in on their water preps and what they have. A lot of people have a lot of water preps and have given examples of how they even how they went for a few days with very little water, because we do use so much water. Water is so essential, especially in an emergency. And a lot of people might have a creek by their house, but what if that becomes contaminated? The only water we might have will be the water that we have stored. So I want to bring David back on again. If you have any other thoughts about, I don't want to cut him off. We kind of ended the break, had it abruptly a break. He was talking about a booklet that talked about water preps and for an earthquake type of situation or just for emergency preparedness, and it was just a little piece of the book. But I guess I wanted to also talk to him, maybe bring in just some introductory details or information about how much to store per person specifically, and then kind of give an example of a family or something that you helped before time goes by too quickly. Because
sure.
I think I think what people really want to hear is how this has affected you. What families have you helped, and how has that worked to help them be better prepared, whether wherever they live. I mean, obviously you're talking about just the Los Angeles area, but just give us a rundown of some of the basics of how much to have, how much per person, what that equates to, how many, just maybe some of the parts that are needed, water,
sure.
Different type of water parts that you need, water prep, your inventory, in other words. Go ahead.
Sure. Well, I was going to make a point earlier, just real briefly, if I can touch it up, or if you want, we can sort of wrap it. We can talk about it in a minute, but I just want to finish that one point.
Sure.
When we talk about emergencies, when I talk to families, and most recently I'm helping a family right now who's ordered quite a substantial amount of barrels from me. And he's ordered 5 for his personal house, and it's him and his wife who live at the house right now. And they're an older couple in their 50s. And he has 5 containers that he's ordered for his house, and he has 5 that he's ordered for his office. In the business, he's an entrepreneur, and he started his business 25 years ago, and he's doing really well. So we got him set up with 10 water barrels to start off with. He has water pumps, hand, manually, like the ones I sell on my website, FamilySafeWater.com. He has these, they're called hand siphon manual pumps that to take the water out of 55-gallon containers. And he treated the water. We're treating the water with water preserver concentrate, which is 5.25% sodium hypochlorite. Now, we don't have to be chemists to preserve our water. I'm constantly sharing with people when they're saying, "Oh, I can just get bleach and put bleach in the water." Now, years ago, when that came out, what the wordage is, and when you see it in, I'm trying to stay away from big words here because they're really not necessary. Modernly, the wordage should say, I think James Thomas Davis says it really well in his book when he talks about if the water is questionable, right? If the water it comes from a source that we don't know if it's safe to drink. So it's a worst-case scenario. We're going to get bleach that's unscented, that doesn't have any other added kind of bells and whistles to it. And we're going to, household bleach is what generally they call it, has 5.25% to 6% sodium hypochlorite. And that chemical is going to help us kill bacteria, virus, mold, fungus, those kind of things, those kind of pathogens that we want to try and avoid. Now, so he has the pump, he has the barrels, he has the water preserver concentrate, which is actually going to protect the water, even though the water is chlorinated from the municipal source that it comes from. Because when I go to the house, I usually try to research the city that the individuals live in and the county to know what kind of water treatment methods that they have. And again, I'm not a water chemist, but I've taught myself enough to know what to look for. And then we also have some other methods. So besides those, besides having a barrel wrench, which is typically called a bung wrench, they can be metal or they can be plastic. The ones that I happen to sell have a dual feature to turn off the gas valve on it as well, and they won't cause sparks, so they're safe in that respect. And they're very lightweight and they're durable, and they're red, very easy to find because red stands out when we think about an emergency. And so besides those three things, and they have caps on them that protect them from being tampered with, we also want to have, he picked up the Sport Berkeys, and that's what he has. And you want to have, regardless of if your water is safe and you've treated it, I personally don't like chlorine in my water. Fluoride is a different thing too, and we won't get into that debate. I know there's books on the topic. I know that you're very well versed on the whole fluoride discussion. That can happen, right?
We'll have to have a guest on later, another time. Yeah, I have a guest lined up about fluoride. But anyway, go ahead.
Awesome. So so when it comes time to tap into the drinking water that's stored, it's very, very important to have a filtration system that would be able to remove the pathogens or potential issues that were in the water. Because remember, we're not doing this because we're banking on something. We're banking on a surefire remedy, right? We're simply storing the water and hoping that we store it properly and in a sanitary manner, so that when we have to call upon it and use it, it's safe enough to use. And so when he pulls the water out, he has a water filtration system that he's using to take out the chlorine, but the Berkey happens to leave in the calcium, the magnesium, and the other kind of minerals that you want to have in the water, while removing the pathogens and Giardia and those kind of all these other kind of things that the Berkey does.
You did name some. I don't want to get too detailed into them, but just name the things, the material items, the physical items you need in your water storage prep. You know what I mean? Those things, you mentioned them real quick. Kind of mention one, a little bit about it, just so people have, just so they can see in their mind, do I have this in my preps? Do I have this in my preps?
Yeah,
and also one other question I want to touch on, too, and then you can answer both, is that what if they don't live in the city? Touch on that. What if they live in the country, near a lake, a stream? What if they have the mindset they're going to go out and go to a lake or a stream nearby? But also, I know you've been talking about the city a lot. Well, a lot of people that are listening may not live in the big city. So we want to touch up on that, too, also. So go ahead, Dave.
Right. Okay, so briefly, you want to have a container. You want to have a container that has safe water that's either been treated or that you can safely transport and carry water in there. It doesn't have to be a hard container. You have items like Mylar bags. You have aqua tanks out there. You have 5-gallon, 15-gallon. Some people, even if they just have 2-liter soda bottles with the clear soda that were, 7-Up bottles, something like that have been cleaned out, those kind of things you can use. Some people want to resort to using milk jugs. These are not the preferred manner of storage, but you want to have some kind of a container, a receptacle for water. So you have, your 5, 15, 30, 55-gallon container, okay, that is able to be sealed. You want to make sure it has a gasket on it, and you want to make sure to try and keep it in as clean as environment as possible when you're preparing the water. Then you want to have a water treatment, either a chemical or it can be, a tablet, or it can be liquid. Some people like iodine. Some people like chlorine, sodium hypochlorite or chlorine or bleach. And some people like tablets, calcium hypochlorite tablets out there. It doesn't matter what you decide to use. You might want to do some research to find out if the particular application of preparation is going to suit you. You may not know that you have an iodine allergy, and that's something very, very important to find out ahead of time, or the people that you love that you're going to be providing for, if they have an allergy to iodine. So you want to try and find out ahead of time. If you don't know the alkalinity of your water, maybe you can pick up one of these safety water testing kits, home testing kits. I think that you're gonna have a similar product to those there. But you want to have a container. You want to have a way to get the water out if the water's heavy. Remember, a gallon of water weighs just over 8 pounds. Okay, so when you get a 15-gallon container, right, you're looking at 120 pounds that you're carrying. Okay, so you want to have that kind of container. If you have a barrel wrench to get in there, if you need some, if the way that you open and access your water is special, then you want to have a tool to make sure you can have that, and you want to have that handy. And then you want to have a water filtration system to use that water in the moment of when you need it, unless you want to drink, that chlorinated water or whatever. But it's always best just to put the money away and then buy the best products you need. So you have a container, you have a pump, you have a wrench, you have the water preserver chemical, or you have whatever you want to use to treat the water, and then you want to filter the water when you're going to use it. Those are the basic things you want to have. I always keep a flashlight with when I think about my water kits, because if it's nighttime, I want to be able to find everything properly, and I want to be able to access it with enough light. So those are very, very basic things. If you have, you brought up another really good point. If you're not near the city, if you're out and about in the country, or maybe a little retired away from the city because the traffic got to you over the years, you want to have you can pick up industrial storage containers. They aren't that expensive. If you have a little bit of a budget put away, you can get 125, 250, whatever you want to get size containers to store water in. And you can get them clear, you can get them dark, you can get them to look aesthetically pleasing. I know there's a company up in Utah that sells that you can get them to look like granite, or you can get them straight black. So, there's tons of different options out there. If you have a well, if you're out in the country and you have a well, you want to make sure the water's safe. And I would definitely, if you have a huge cistern or underground tank or some kind of storage off to the side in a barn or in a workshop, then I would definitely have a little water test kit that just tests for basic microorganism or microbes or pathogens. It tests lead or copper. You can test fluoride levels, chlorine levels, whatever you want to do. But I would definitely, if I didn't live near the city, I would definitely go out and get a small little water test kit so that the water that I'm storing in my cistern or that's coming out of my well to make it's not contaminated. You can remember those nitrates and nitrites, and even if you know that everything's secure and stuff, it's always a good idea to have those test items nearby. You want to have a little generator to make sure that you can actually use a pump to bring the water up and out of your well if you need to. If something happens and the pump that you're actually using as a source of extracting the water, if it breaks, if you don't have good suction there, then you want to have a pump, a generator to sort of extract the water out there. If you're near a river or a lake or a stream, I would definitely, while the sun's shining, that's something I say often, while the sun's shining, go pick up a water filtration system. A Berkey is an excellent, and that's how I got started with this whole thing as far as looking at buying a system for myself. Went at the Boy Scout camp with the boys a few times, didn't like the water that we had there. It tasted like rust. It tasted, you could literally taste the iron coming out of the pipe. And so I bought a Berkey Light system, and it's been going up to Boy Scout camp with us every year, and it's excellent. It's an excellent thing. We take the water out of the stream when we go down to Deep Creek and we swim. We take the water out, and I'm not really concerned about any kind of pathogens in that water or any kind of things that could make me sick, would get me dehydrated. Because if you drink water from a source that has those pathogens in it or has some volatile organic compounds or whatever, remember, just because you're drinking it and it's keeping you hydrated for a minute doesn't mean that you're going to avoid diarrhea, because all it takes is a day of diarrhea and you can get very, very sick, and you can put yourself in very serious danger to maintain hydration. So those are some basic things. Hopefully I answered the questions that you were talking about, those points.